Hi there, my name is Will and I'm a developer advocate at Kestra. Today I'm going to be showing you some of the new auto-completion introduced in Kestra 0.17 and how this can make editing your flows even easier. Let's jump in. Some of the new auto-completion includes auto-completion on variables, inputs, outputs, and subflows. So if you ever found yourself in a situation where you can't quite remember the full name of your input, well, it's going to be much easier going forwards with the new auto-completion. As you can see in this example, we have an input and a variable, and we can use the new autocomplete to make it easier to add these to our task. I can start with the variable here, where I can add an expression, where I type vars dot, and you can see it already comes up with the variable that we would be expecting. When I select this, it will add it in automatically. I can do the same as well for the input. So if I add an expression in there and type inputs, I can see that it comes up with payload automatically. So now when I press save and press execute, I'll be able to see in the logs that this has worked successfully. It's got our variable, which is the URL here. And I can also see in the outputs tab that it got the correct body to be able to get the response that we were looking for. And we can see here that it worked as expected. This also works for outputs, so I can simply add an output here and it will autocomplete from the task above. So if I add an expression now and type outputs, we can see that it gives me the option of the two tasks. I'm going to hit send data, and then I can also then get the different outputs from that task. We're going to use body in this example. And now if I press save, I can then press execute, and I can see here in the logs, I can see it's going to print out the body of our response. This also works for subflows, so we're going to need to add an output to this flow that we can then access in our subflow, and again we can use the auto-completion to make it even easier. Let's add an expression, it's very simply, and when I type outputs in, we get again send data, and I can then pass the body on as so. Let's create a subflow now and show how easy that is with the new auto-completion. As we can see now we're in our subflow, we can use the autocomplete to help us complete this as well. I can autofill the namespace by selecting example, and the flow was called example 1. So now this will work as expected. On top of that, we can also autocomplete our inputs for the subflow. By simply typing inputs in here, it will give us the option to autocomplete with the input in our other flow. So if I select that, I'm able to then paste in our input. I can also edit this directly from the topology view as well. So if I select inputs, I can also paste the answer in here as well. So any of those fields I discussed earlier, you can also complete those from the low code editor as well. Makes this super convenient and hopefully will streamline your development process. Hopefully you'll find the new auto-completion super useful in your workflows. If you do have any questions or any feedback for us, let us know in the comments below, or you can join our Slack community.